So I'll go ahead and start with why did you guys start the I'm Just Me movement?
We started I'm Just Me movement in 2013. Just a small backstory to that. We had a son that had a special learning plan, and he was bullied when he was younger, about 6 years old. But as he got older, he learned how to use those coping skills of, okay, only 3 words at a time, and so he was always very conscious about how he showed up around other people. So long story short, my husband and I adopted a sibling group of children, and we moved out of the area, which was great for him. But then nobody knew his secret, and he was okay with that, and when he got into high school, he was on the basketball team, and he leaned on his fellow teammates, and they did all the interviews. They knew his secret, and they allowed him to kind of slide back in the shadows, and then they would do the interviews for him, and they kind of protected him in that way. So when he decided that he wanted to come out to share his story, he didn't want people to only think of him as a basketball player, but that there was so much more to him that people just didn't know. And so he went on TV to share his story. And when he did that, at the end of the interview, he said, "Now I can just be me." And so we thought, wow, how liberating, how freeing is that? Other people, young people, should be able to feel confident with who they are, however they appear in the world, whether they have a special learning plan, whether they have struggles that they're dealing with, secrets that may be, you know, tough for them to share. And so with that being said, we started to go into schools to talk about bullying, effects of bullying, and how your words hurt. And in those presentations, we will come along young kids that would say, "I don't care about bullying, nobody cares about me and some of the things that I'm dealing with." And we were able to really share our stories of growing up in hard times and how we made it through. So we created a mentor program. We became a nonprofit organization, and kind of the rest is history. But did you want to add to that?
Yeah, like Tina said, like as far as becoming a mentoring program and going to school, we wanted to create dialogue too within the school, within the kids in the school with each other. And I think that's how you create that kindness or create empathy and compassion, is when you can talk to each other. And you find out a lot of people who was doing the bullying realize that other kids were going through similar things that they might have been going through. And that's why sometimes they had those behaviors. So it was good to see that we could open up the communication with the young people, because we did it in October, so it's like anti-bullying month, and when you you're against something. But if we can come in there and not just be against bullying in itself, but how can we create dialogue within that? And that's what we wanted to do. That's the difference that we wanted to make. And hopefully that would open the doors to creating a mentor program that eventually that you can be able to open those young kids' minds to talk about those issues, problems, trauma, things that were bothering them. They can actually go to somebody and actually talk those things out.
Especially to reach the best versions of who they are. We know that all people excel with support. So that's kind of in a nutshell, kind of how we got started and evolved organically into what we do today.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into the next question. I know that you guys do a lot of advocacy work, especially around bullying, as you've mentioned, but what other advocacy have you guys taken a part in, either in your program in Winchester and in Virginia in general? And what are you looking forward to addressing in the future that you think you haven't really gotten to yet?
I can say for me, storytelling, helping people advocate to tell their story, to not allow people to tell their story. There's power in being able to share your lived experiences. There's power in being able to share your reflection of how you view things. And so I think that's a huge part of what we do now through advocating for people that have special learning plans, for people that may feel like they don't fit in, people that are struggling with some of the day-to-day challenges that keep them from reaching the best versions of who they are. And so for me, I can say that advocating for them to embrace their story, to share their story, and to live their truth.
Oh, and I mean, for me, I think really finding a way to how do we can reach people early. And whether it starts from elementary, going into the middle schools, creating more of that identity, where people can easily find themselves. You can find yourself, you can eventually tell your story, you can communicate. So just those things, just going into really schools and other places in the community, just bringing where we can have our young people really creating that communication. I think sometimes the lack of communication has been lost due to COVID. So a lot of kids do a lot of things on their phones, but how to get back in touch with each other. I think that's the biggest thing that I like to see and hope that we can kind of accomplish in the community, is bringing those pieces together, and seeing the help of our school, which is very important, because a lot of stuff starts there. It's like, you're going to probably experience, first bullying thing or encounter your first letdowns and those type of things like that. So we can just bring that just into the school system, and more advocating there, so kids can tell their stories, kids can find their identity and find themselves, and teaching others how to have that empathy and compassion.
Also advocating for inclusion and diversity, because not all people, as you know, are alike. We're all unique. And when we talk about diversity, there's so much more that is encompassed in that, including our LGBTQ communities, neurodiversity, people that learn in a different way. And so I think that, part of this human race is really to be able to cultivate more kind and inclusive communities, and advocating for that is how we reach that goal. So those are just a few ways that we're continuing to advocate for people to have their space and to have grace and kindness.
That's great. And I know you all started this as a family. How do you think that's shaped the way you've approached mentoring?
I think because it makes it so personal, because because you're always mentoring in your own home. It kind of starts there too, and being the model, the role model that you're trying to form with each other, and leading that, as far as like the family element of it. When you talk about me, Tina, and then RJ, which is more involved in this more than any other children, but it gives us as a whole, as a family, the ways to communicate, because we still go through the same thing that any other families will go through. We still with some of the same issues that any other families would go through. So when people talk about these different issues or different things that they're dealing with, we know that on a personal level, because we're actually dealing with that with our own children, in a sense, and our own children are figuring these things out. So I think that as a family unit, it just brings a whole different element to everything, but it also brings that authentic, being authentic then as we talk to other people, because we have been there, and we're still there at times. So it just makes it so unique that we can sit down as a family, like, hey, we're trying to plan this thing out. How you think other children are being affected by this? And you're having those same conversations that most families probably having at their own tables.
I agree with that, especially as kids that grew up in trauma and things that were very, very difficult for us, and things that we couldn't do, like telling our family secrets, or telling things about our family or our lives that were really difficult, for fear that we could be separated from our families. So in that, Rodney was kind of the father figure in his household. I was kind of the adult kind of figure in my household. My mom was dealing with some things. I lost my dad from a drug overdose when I was about 8 years old. My mom was working at the hospital, and she started to drink to deal with some of these things. But Rodney and I both learned earlier on that we had a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, and, kind of took that to say, you know what, how do we, when we have children, how do we avoid these things for them? And so being able to bring to the table our lived experiences, we have both actually become certified family peer support specialists through the state of Virginia, and being able to support families because we were those children. We know our side of how we were impacted, and how we had to support our families in their emotional states and in their substance use active addiction. And so I think we bring to the table something that's really, really special. We get to bring both sides of how we were impacted, but also how we were able to make it through. And I think we're real people with real stories, and mentorship is important because we all need mentors, right? And so when you talk about the family aspect of it, the family dynamic is really, really important when you're talking about ending some of those generational cycles. So starting off as a family that has started a business allows us to bring those real experiences, trials, tribulations, and resiliency as well.
Yeah, that's really great. You guys sound so impressive. So I'm going to take this in a completely different direction now, but what are you hoping to get out of your TA experience with Mentor Virginia? Is there something in particular that you guys are looking to shift in your program?
Did you want to answer?
Okay.
Okay. I can tell you that we started off as a very small initiative, and then evolving into a nonprofit organization, which takes on a lot of responsibility and a lot of policies, procedures. And earlier on, we were smart enough, thank goodness, we were smart enough to find the National Mentor Partnership. And we thought, oh my gosh, they've got these resources, they've got a deck of information, they've got policies, they've got procedures. So we kind of did our research and we said, oh my gosh, they've got these templates, and so we got connected really earlier on when we became a nonprofit organization with the National Mentor Partnership. And then later there became a Virginia Mentor Partnership. And then I reached out and said, hey, I see that you guys have a Virginia Mentor Partnership. What are the tools that we can use and what can we do? And so we've been able to get those supports, from 2015, we became a nonprofit.
Mhm.
We've been utilizing the services. Just recently, I reached out because we've done a rebranding and felt it was beneficial for our organization now that we have made some incremental strides and some huge milestones as well, becoming managed care organization and a managed care organization through Medicaid, and thought, okay, how can we revamp and renew the way that we do things? What are the new information pieces that are out there that we can benefit from? And we never are the ones that are like, oh, we know all the answers. We do want to seek out those kind of innovative ways that people are doing things, and we appreciate the support that we've gotten earlier on. So I'm looking forward to the continuous educational pieces of it, learning what we can do to strengthen our mentor program and the way that we do things.
Oh, and I think for me is you can't have anything great without having great support and networking and partners. I think that's the key to really the foundation, and to continue building in that foundation, by partnering with the Virginia Mentor thing. because I think that a lot of people don't realize, like Tina said, we started small, but we was utilizing all the tools that, you know, you had on your page or whatever we needed, because we know every day, every second, everything is evolving. Kids are evolving, the systems are evolving, and you want to make sure that you're keeping up with everything, because you want to make sure that you're giving your best service, and you're in serving people in the capacity that you're trying to serve them in by having the right tools. And I think that's really the key partnership to any great networking thing that you have, is when you can make that partnership come together and really say, we want to impact people.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, you got to be honest, like when you know better, you do better, you know, and we want to be the best that we can be and provide the best service that we can for our clients, for our community.
That's great. I've mentioned to Tina that I'm actually from Winchester, so this is super exciting to know that there's great resources there. So do you guys have any final messages that you'd like to end on?
I will let people know that I'm Just Me Movement is the backbone organization for a trauma-informed community network. There are 26 trauma-informed community networks across the state of Virginia. Everyone is unique in their own right. Different mission statements, different visions. The nonprofit organization, well, I'm Just Me Movement is a nonprofit backbone organization, but the Triumph Over Trauma is the Winchester area, Frederick County, Clark, and Warren County. And we've just recently had a meeting about adding Page County. We are Triumph Over Trauma, and we have our mission and vision and information I will provide for you if people want to join. But the goal is to really create some common language around resiliency and trauma, and how we can reach those through the common language of these terms, you know, because resiliency means something different for everyone. For me, resiliency was gritty and grimy and ugly and very trying. You know, I didn't have like the halo stars, like, you know, I had more of the grit and grime, but I made it through, and resiliency looks different for everyone. I believe the more impactful we are in terms of getting towards the common language and more trauma-informed communities, we help kids bounce back, you know, from tough times, and families too. So I just wanted to add that we are Triumph Over Trauma is one of 26 trauma-informed community networks across the state of Virginia. We have 27 cross-sector collaborators as well. And we thank Voices for Virginia's Children, which is one of our founding organizations, the United Way of the Shenandoah Valley, Warren Coalition, and Northwestern Community Services Board at Greater Richmond SCAN as well.
I think that is just making sure that we just serving our community, making sure everybody's participating in something, in reaching their purpose. You know, I just think that, you know, we're just at that critical time now. So where we can reach the young people, and like Tina said earlier, and change those directories of generational cycles, and put people in good places. I think when we put people in good places, great things happen in our community, especially for our young children. When you got mentors out there who's spending the time with them, giving up their knowledge and information and time, I think then in the end, then those things will be paid back. And you'll see those young people who become those adults who will give back to the next generation.
Absolutely. And mentors are natural resources in our communities, you know. And I think that's so important that we recognize their contributions. And I mean, we all have our stories, and you can name a person that's made a difference in our lives, that have helped us reach some level of success. And mentorship has definitely changed my life. And I love the role that I have through I'm Just Me Movement to continue to give back We know that suicide is the second leading cause of death in young people, I think now at ages 10 to 24, and that, increases, but we want to do our part and be a part of the solution. So we thank, the Virginia Mentor Partnership, the National Mentor Partnership, for all that they've done to help us improve the way that we do things. And I think that would be the only other thing, except for that we have a national holiday. It's called I'm Just Me Because. And it really is all about embracing who you are, accepting others and their differences, and overcoming adversity.
And that leads into my next question a little bit. Do you have any upcoming events that you would like to share? This will be posted on the 19th of January. So anything after that people can get involved with.
We have a full calendar. I'll probably have to give you that information to include.
Oh yeah, you can email it to me.
Yes, so we do know that January is National Mentoring Month. We currently have an online campaign called Agents for Change. It's on our I'm Just Me page, in I'm Just Me Movement on Facebook page. We are raising money to continue to vet and certify our mentors, provide supplies, and support our programs. Our preventative programs make the difference in so many young people's lives, and we want to continue to do what we do. So if anyone would be interested in finding out more information about our organization, I'm Just Me Movement, they can go to www.imjustmemovement.org, and we'll be posting our calendar of events there as well.
Okay, and then you can also email me this and I'll send it out as well. How can someone get involved as a mentor in your program?
So they can go on the website. We have an application there. They can also use the portal through the Mentor Partnership. We are registered with you guys as well. So you just go to the Mentor Partnership page, Google a provider, and I'm Just Me Movement will pop up. Any other?
No, I would just reach out to us directly. Like Sam said, like through the website or call the number. We're always looking for people in all kinds of different roles, because mentors come in so many different roles. And so we're looking to fill all those types of roles for our young people and families. Because the one key thing too is when mentoring, definitely we always think about the family and being a support system for the family in a sense, because even though we might be mentoring someone's child, we always have that back of our mind that we are support also for that family.
That's so true. Because some parents, parenting doesn't come with a handbook, and I know it was difficult for us as well. We had mentors and people that showed us how to do some of the essential pieces of parenting. But I will say that we know that sometimes parents just may not have the skills to give. And so helping to help them improve and helping to enrich their ways to help their children, I think is important. Parent enrichment is a huge part of mentoring as well. In Virginia, they actually call it peer support. And we know that it's a family effort.
Well, thank you guys so much. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I think that was great. And I learned so much about your program. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.